Good evening. You are listening to Right on Campus, the UW-Eau Claire College Republican podcast. Good evening. You're listening to Right on Campus, the UWEC College Republicans podcast. As always, I'm Ryan, the Vice Chair of UWEC College Republicans, and I'm joined by my co-host and working partner, Tatiana, the Chair of UWEC College Republicans.
Hello.
Tonight, we're also joined with Grace, our political coordinator.
Hello.
We have a great show for you tonight. Tonight, we'll be discussing the recent current events with the current Trump administration. With that being said, let's jump right into the show.
Yeah, so we're going to start off by just kind of getting to know Grace. She is our newly appointed political coordinator. We're very happy to have her on the team.
Yeah, sad to see Lizzie go for the semester.
Yeah.
She's hanging out in Ireland, having
Yeah.
a good time. If she's listening, we hope you're having a great time. Be safe.
She was telling me she had a cat crawl through her
I
window.
saw that, yeah.
Oh my gosh. She's living
That's pretty
the
cool.
dream.
Yeah.
I would love that. But Grace, how did you get involved in politics?
So I actually didn't really get involved in politics until my freshman year of college, so last
Oh, really?
semester. Yeah.
Wow.
I've always had strong beliefs, and my family, we've talked about politics at home, but
Yeah.
it was just never really brought up at anywhere else really.
Mm-hmm.
You go to my grandpa's house, I'm sure he'll say some stuff.
Real. Yeah, it's real.
But it didn't really get until this year because I just felt especially here at UWEC, it's obviously a very liberal campus,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize how liberal it was until I actually got here.
I feel like that's all of us.
Yeah.
It's definitely a culture shock.
So I kind of felt like a pushback. I wanted to push back because it was just so much. So, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I relate. I mean, I was into politics for quite some time before college, but that's a common story we hear.
Yeah.
Nora's been on the podcast. She's talked about that.
Yeah, no.
And I think just other people in the club, generally didn't realize the effect that politics has on everybody's daily life until you come to a place that's
Very true.
very inundated by the political process and caring about politics and issues and the process of politics, of protesting and advocating for what you believe in, and that might be a little bit different than what we might believe in, and so it calls us to action. Mm-hmm. So we're happy to have you. You've done a great job. We love your enthusiasm. So
yeah, she has our first event actually tonight that she organized.
Wow.
Pretty much did everything by herself.
That's right.
But our Super Bowl party. So
nice. Well,
go
we're very
Taylor
proud of
Swift's
you for that.
boyfriend.
Yeah, that was a really good job.
Yeah, and so I'm always curious, how did you find out about College Republicans? What brought you to your first meeting?
This is actually a great story. So I knew that there was a College Dems club.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, there has to be a College Republican somewhere, but I didn't actively go looking out for it because I was a little baby freshman. I still am a little baby freshman, but not as baby anymore.
Right.
But so Jackson, one of our club members, he posted on the UWEC Snapchat story something political, and so I added him because I was and he was like, come at me, give it to me. And I was like, I actually want to be your friend.
Nice.
I'm
That's
Republican.
awesome.
And he was just like, oh, let me add you to this group chat. And then I was added to the
No way.
group chat.
Oh, yeah. I
Good
do.
job, Jackson.
Yeah.
Good job.
And then you guys were tabling the next day, so I stopped by at the table, and then the next meeting I was there.
Awesome.
Wow. I think I do remember that vaguely happening where a bunch of people were added to the group chat, and I was like, okay.
What's going on here?
All these freshmen, and we were tabling, and then they started showing up.
Just
at
kind
our
of fell in
table.
our lap.
Yeah.
To be
we were
honest, actually,
we're
not.
freshmen.
I mean, we worked hard, but it's I was
We were very
anticipating
shocked.
this fall having to come in and do the freshman outreach thing that we're implementing now.
Yeah.
We had talked about that all summer,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was thinking I was going to need to spend my time on upper campus and shill for the club and get people to come, and then all of a sudden we had 30 members. And we didn't really do anything.
Good
No,
job, Jackson.
And so, Jackson, if that was you, man, thanks. You
Good
did
job.
my job for me.
No,
So,
literally, that was awesome.
yeah. So what do you feel is the biggest transition from high school to college generally, and then politically.
Okay, generally, high school, you have class from, my classes were from 7:20 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. So you
Okay.
have class for 8 hours a day.
Right, straight.
Straight, same building. They have, like, you can't leave or anything,
Yeah.
do any of this stuff. Like, you have to get permission to have ibuprofen in your bag.
Real.
Nobody did that, honestly.
No.
Well,
No.
Yeah, right.
but
You certainly did. You followed the rules.
yeah, for sure. For sure. The migraines did not come during the day at all.
Yeah, right.
No, but it was definitely a transition because I live 3.5 hours away, so
Oh.
I'm further away.
Okay.
And then, like, living with a person in my room, I've always had my own room as the only
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
is
transition.
So that was a transition. And it was just, like, I mean, walking to class, the hill kicks you in the butt,
It does.
Yeah.
but persevere. Take
Yeah.
the bus.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We were talking about the hill on the way over here and the drive
Yeah.
over here. They like to say that it gets better.
You know,
Nope, it
doesn't.
definitely doesn't.
No.
It gets worse with the
Yeah,
temperature.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, it definitely gets worse with the
It's
temperature.
worth it. It's a piece of your freshman year that you need to have. It's a character
Yes.
builder.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah, don't let them lie to you.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Nope.
get better.
Nope.
So
Does not.
okay, and then politically, what's the difference between high
Politically.
school and college?
So in high school, a lot of people like don't turn 18 until the middle or end of their senior year, so they
Right.
can't vote.
right.
So it doesn't really matter that much to
Okay.
high school kids
Yeah.
to like talk about it as much as we do as college kids.
Sure.
So, because like we can't vote, like we can obviously have our discussions, but
Yeah.
they don't really get very far because we're like we don't want to get into it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when you're in college, you have the right to vote, so it's a lot more important, I would say, to get into that
Get involved.
and get
Yeah,
involved.
that makes sense.
And
Do you think that there was like a political atmosphere in high school that like did you talk about it with friends, like in class, were there clubs?
I was actually not super involved
Okay.
in
Yeah.
high school, but with my friends, I mean, very rarely.
Okay.
Like, none of my friends really knew that, like, I was a hardcore conservative
Sure.
until, like, this past summer after I graduated.
Good for you.
They were like, what? They're like, somehow it came up on topic. They were like, how do you feel about abortion? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that that's killing babies. And
Absolutely.
that's how it went. So,
And maybe another question for you. So, and because this is good perspective.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, I could speak about it for my time, but I don't think it does as much justice as somebody who's literally living it out their freshman year. How much of a role does just politics play in the atmosphere of your day-to-day life? Like, do you see signs? Do
Oh,
you
yeah.
hear people talk about it? You know, describe to me what role politics plays in your daily life, just as a student.
so just as a student, if we take out the group chats.
Yeah, get rid of the group chats, the stuff you volunteer to be a part
Yes.
of. Right.
So I would say, honestly, like, not as much as you would think it would.
Okay.
But it definitely is a lot more than it was in high school.
Sure.
So, like, obviously, like, I have my College Republicans, my Right on Campus podcast pin on my
Awesome.
backpack.
Sponsored.
Yeah.
Not sponsored,
there we
but yeah.
So I'm plugging it.
Good for you. That's awesome.
So obviously people like see that pin on my backpack and they're like, oh, ugh. So, but then I see people with like the Harris Walls pins and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
they have their own beliefs and stuff like that.
Sure.
So
Sure. How about from the professors? Do you feel politics from your
geez.
professors?
I've never had one directly yet.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
well, actually, that's a lie. There was my one professor last semester. She was, like, we were doing so good. I had so much respect for her. It was, like, the second to last class, and she somehow brought up Trump and how he was going to,
Oh,
like, do
gosh.
damage.
They got to get it in there.
Yeah,
You know?
tried.
They
She
just-
really tried.
And I was like, why are we talking about this right now? Like, this is...
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so...
No, good. Well, I think that's good context because I don't know how many people who are listening to this actually maybe be prospective UWEC students, but I think that context is something that is important for everybody to hear because I always thought coming into school it was going to be literally walking through the front gates of hell. Like,
Yeah.
like I thought it was going to be a all-out onslaught against me as a human, as an individual, with my beliefs, with my faith. And I will agree. I think I've said it on the podcast before, but I have nothing but respect for the administrators of this university. I think that everything is relative, and I think that just by nature, being on a college campus, you're bound to be by a cohort of people who just are statistically more liberal. And so that makes sense, right? Like, it's nobody's fault. That's their opinion. And I'm a good enough of a person to tolerate that. And I don't necessarily feel like I have to constantly be surrounded by, abortion restriction, MAGA, red hat wearing goats, like, even though it'd be cool, it's just like, I value, what the community of the university has with regard to political diversity.
Yeah.
But I will say that the administration does a very good job at protecting specifically dissenting opinions, us, our club. They help us out. So that was always a surprise for me, was like, I thought, you watched Ben Shapiro going to Berkeley or Knowles going to Pittsburgh, and like they're burning effigies of the speakers, and there's pepper spraying conservative students who table, and they're getting assaulted. It's aggressive. I mean, on some campus it's violent, and like you literally have to fear for your safety, in showing your politics. And that's one thing I've never felt here is threatened or danger because of my beliefs. So
no, exactly. And I remember our very first meeting with the dean. We were bringing former Governor Scott Walker here, and we were both kind of like,
what do we expect?
Yeah, and like we had this whole game plan of like, we're not going to let him talk down to us.
Yeah.
Like, we were ready, and then we got in there, and he's like, "You guys want a bottle of water?"
He's just amazing.
You know, and he starts talking to us about the weather, and like,
I know.
We're like,
shout out to Dean Heinzelman.
Yeah, no,
real class act.
Yes.
Just a pure dude.
No,
I shouldn't characterize him as a dude. He's a very, very astute gentleman. It's a pleasure to work with him. And so, I think that's just to cap off our topic about the campus and the the atmosphere. I think it's important to note that specifically with our experience here at UW-Eau Claire, I mean, it's liberal. But that's inescapable. But you don't necessarily have to worry as much about the administration, taking up the sword against
I think
you.
It does bring up an interesting question too of like, where does the liberalism come from almost?
Yeah.
Because, we see very much a push on our campus for the LGBTQ stuff.
Sure.
But we also see a campus that it very much includes us.
Certainly.
And, helps us with our ideas. And, like we say, we have a great dean.
Yeah.
And we also have a great intergovernmental affairs director.
Yeah.
And just all these people in the administration. But where is that idea of pushing the woke agenda in classes?
Yeah.
Where is that coming down from?
Do you have any input?
I mean, I think like in classes, it's very like, it really depends.
Mm-hmm.
I have not had a very obviously, I have had a very obviously liberal teacher, but she was literally like probably the best professor I had last semester.
Mm-hmm.
She was so nice. Like, I was sick a lot last semester, freshman flu, and all that stuff.
I think, as time goes on, you'd start taking more LEs. If you keep getting political, you'll want to take poli-sci courses. And I've taken some poli-sci courses, and it's impossible not to run into it in those classes.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a conservative poli-sci professor.
I don't think so. No, I think we actually tried to find one.
Yeah, I think they're all just writ large pretty liberal. So I've heard some are worse than others. I've had a couple of them that, I mean, it's their opinion, and that's what they're going to do. Some are worse than others. But I think to answer the question, I think the wokeness specifically in the classroom, it's going to come from the professor.
Yeah.
Like, the professor really has the ability to decide what are they teaching, write the curriculum, so to speak, for the classes. And if that class of professors is indoctrinated by this, or, is overwhelmed by this opinion, that is what we would characterize as woke or far left or whatever, they have the discretion to teach that. Now, that's not to say that the administration can't give guidelines. And in many cases, a lot of colleges and universities have extremely liberal administrators, and then it is more top-down. But I think here, given our experience with, the administration, I do think it's professor-based. I think it depends on who you have. I think it depends on the field of study that you're going into.
Yeah.
I think I've said this before, but like business classes, it's very difficult to be a far lefty and be in business.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
there's some clashing ideologies there that just don't work. And I think the nature of politics doesn't totally come up in business as much. I mean, we talk about political topics, but it's nowhere near the way that if you're in like a sociology course, a history
yeah.
course,
Yep.
a politics course, government course, these are going to be inherently political, and they will be, philosophy. They're all taught from this specific lens
Yeah.
that if you disagree with it, you will literally sit in class every day and be like, wow, I disagree with like the framework that this is even being argued from. So I think that's my take on that. But I do think it comes from the professor class specifically. Yeah. So I think we can move into some of the Trump current events. So do you want to take the first couple?
Yeah, so Trump has had some recent wins, and we're just going to cover a few of them here today. But first one we want to go over is Trump ordered that pronouns be removed from all federal employees' email signatures.
That's
And-
a win.
Yeah.
That's a dub.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good win.
Yeah.
As somebody who always cringes when I see like a professor's email and it's just underneath says she, her,
Yeah.
or she, they,
Right.
or whatever. It's nice to see. It's nice to see some normalcy brought back.
Yeah.
So
Or like especially in like social media bios. Like if I see people have their pronouns in their social media bios, I immediately am like, do I really want to
No,
like
you
be
don't.
friends
No,
with
right.
this
You
person
don't.
or
Right.
whatever? So, yeah.
yeah, no, it's like AOC's AOC's pronouns fell out of her Twitter account. I think we talked about that on one episode.
Oh yeah, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They happened to walk away
They
somehow.
just somehow fell out, so now she
Yeah.
doesn't have to worry about that. And then another big thing that happened is actually not by Trump, but
Yeah, right.
Supreme Court ruled it is unconstitutional to ban 18 to 20-year-olds from buying handguns.
Was it the Supreme Court? Because I think it was.
Fact check.
I thought it was a district court. I thought it was just like a
Yes, I
district or an
think you might be
appellate court
right.
ruling.
I
Yeah.
think you might be right.
But it overturns. It
Either
gives
way,
legal precedence. So it is a win. It's a legal win.
But I know that there was a
Um,
case in Wisconsin
Okay.
that they were looking to bring to the courts as well on this issue.
Really
And I think they kind of just dropped that because of this ruling.
interesting.
And because there's been this weird precedent of, so you can own a gun at 18, but you can't.
You can own a handgun. You just
Yeah.
can't
You can't
purchase it or carry it.
Yeah, and that's
At
kind of the
18.
issue is like,
Yeah.
okay, so you can't carry it, but like, what's the point then?
Yeah. Grace, did you have something to add?
Yeah, it was the New Orleans-based Fifth Circuit Court
Yeah.
of Appeals.
Right.
Is
Yeah, the
what
appellate
did it.
court.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm pretty aggressive on the Second Amendment as well. It's just.
Me too.
I think it's pretty obvious, like what the framers were intending.
Yeah.
And I think if you're 18 years old and you can be trusted to handle a weapon of war in war,
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
you ought to be able to be trusted to operate one on the homeland. And
Right.
notice I'm not changing my phraseology because I do think that the Second Amendment is chiefly interested in protecting citizens from tyranny.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
And so I don't think that. I mean, I think within reason we shouldn't like allow people to have like nukes.
Yeah, well.
But we could have a conversation about fully auto firearms, straight up.
Really?
Yeah,
Let's say that for a new.
That
Yeah.
sounds like a
Different-
great podcast.
yeah, we
episode.
should. I mean, we should talk about it. I mean, because if it is intended, in theory, if it is intended to use against a tyrannical force,
They're gonna
wouldn't-
have that.
Wouldn't the citizen have the right to at least what the government is
Yeah,
able
no,
to
I-
control? I mean,
I
it's just
very
a
much get
question
that
about
argument.
the intention of the Second Amendment
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how that would then be applicable to a citizen and their rights.
Yeah,
But,
I
yeah.
totally hear what you're saying. Yeah,
but anyway, I do think it's a big win, and it'll help out.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I think it's great.
pro gun, pro 2A.
Now I can go buy a gun.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I don't have money for it, but
No,
I
real,
could. Legally,
real.
I could.
At least you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So speaking of guns and military, there's been quite a few military wins. Trump has directed the Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth, to begin building our own Iron Dome defense shield. and it
Awesome.
will be 100% American made.
Awesome.
And for those who don't know what an Iron Dome is, because I feel like some people genuinely think this is, I don't know if you've like seen the show or read
Like
the
an
book
actual
Under the Dome. They're like under this whole dome and they
Oh,
can't
really?
escape. It's not like it's not like
It's like
that.
a force field.
No, like that's what I picture, like Star Wars
Like the
force bubble.
Gungan
Yeah,
shield. Yeah. The Gungan shield.
For real.
We need one though.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so cool.
We need one so bad.
But
Just make
but no,
America-
it's essentially a defense system that
Sure.
it spots the missile,
Surface to air missile.
and then it
Yeah.
targets it with its own missile and shoots
Right.
it down.
Right.
But still very, very good.
Yeah.
Israel's is like, I want to say 80% effective. I could be wrong on that number, but
Yeah,
it's up there.
I would wager to bet
over-
more.
I know
you
it's over 50.
It's super effective.
and
Granted, Israel's a very small country.
that's kind of the
Um,
concern, but also the missile range of other countries right now
Right. You can't.
can't hit
Right.
Kansas.
Right.
So,
No. Right.
but I think, it's great. And then making it 100% American made, I think is
Yeah.
always a win.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Israel's Iron Dome is our Iron Dome.
Yeah.
It's paid for by our foreign aid and tax dollars, and it's manufactured by our American defense contractors. So we should have one too.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Like, I don't know. I mean, and then the other thing is, we like to complain, and we'll talk about DOGE and cutting spending. This is another area where I may slightly deviate. I think in this current political climate that we live in, it's vitally important to stay up to par with the defense. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard, but the Chinese have developed from the Pentagon, they've developed a hypersonic missile, which we don't have.
Oh gosh.
And so hypersonic goes up, comes down, past the speed of sound, which
Yeah.
is very difficult to take out of the
Yeah.
sky. Now the question is it traditional ballistic, or could they retrofit it with a warhead? And then that's a nuke that we can't take out. And so like that's the theory is now we need to look into AI. We need to look
Yeah.
into hypersonic missile tech. We need to get an Iron Dome. We need to be defended because you're right. Conventional ballistic missiles coming from Iraq to Israel is less than 900 miles.
Right.
China
Oh, yeah.
from Shanghai to San Francisco is across the Pacific Ocean, and we would shoot them down because they go past 100 missile bases before they would even reach the mainland. Now, if it's hypersonic and it's going into space, we can't detect it because it's hypersonic. Yeah, that's a big
No,
problem.
exactly.
A big problem. So I'm all for
No, exactly.
spending where we need to.
I think that brings up a good point too of like how much money and time we've invested in other countries recently.
Yeah.
Versus now seeing Trump be like, no, like, yeah, we're funding, an Iron Dome in Israel. Why don't we have one? then?
Yeah, we need one too.
Like,
Right.
Yep.
and it's nice to see that America first
Yeah.
mentality back and just being at the forefront of defense again.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
That
totally
is,
agree.
like one of the things that I absolutely love about Trump.
Yeah.
And he's always been like America first, and I feel like these past 4 years especially, like I feel like America has almost been put on the back burner.
Totally.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm like,
Yeah, man. Try
I'm like-
35 years. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
just
like-
constant.
let's go.
Feels like it never ends. I know. I feel so good about it too. It's like, I mean, we could still make progress, and that's where I'm trying to just be positive because I've been freaking gritting my teeth for way too
No,
long
I
for
know.
this, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, just do what we want. But I have to remember, it's everything takes time.
well,
There's plans
and
for
I mean,
all of
looking
this.
at how much he's
know.
done already,
Right.
it's,
Right.
it's
I-
crazy.
I think did I say it on the last one? But the pace is what is just totally
Yeah.
night and day from 2016 to 24. The pace in which we're getting these developments is
No,
just
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
totally unmatched. And
Well, even the liberals don't know how to keep up with
they
it.
can't.
They can't. They don't even know
Yeah.
what to protest next.
No,
because
right.
They're because there's one thing to protest, then another, then another.
I know, and they can't coalesce.
No, that's the other thing is
Yeah,
they can't. They can't get together.
They hate each other
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hey, it's all right. Hey, you guys just figure it out.
Yeah, I know.
We'll be here.
We'll be here. We're working. No,
Yeah,
for real.
for real.
So another one in the military.
Yeah. Okay.
So Trump is also offering full reinstatement for any military member who is expelled from service for not taking the COVID shot. And they'll be restored to their former rank with full pay.
Full back pay.
Yeah, back pay.
So for all the time
Yep.
they lost.
And this at least 8,000 troops are going to be affected.
Wonderful.
And so this is great to see.
Yes. That's only right.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
military recruitment numbers are already going up.
Yeah.
And not just because of this, just because
Yeah.
of who our president is, who their, chief
Right.
is.
I mean, I cannot tell you how happy this makes me.
Yeah.
Because personally, I never got the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
And, like, I was supposed to get it. I had an appointment and everything. And then I was literally sitting outside of the Walgreens shop
wow.
room.
You were spared.
And I was like, this doesn't feel right. And I literally was like, Mom, I'm going to the car. And I walked out.
Good for you.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
That's really good
Yeah,
instincts.
so-
yeah.
I have, like, because there's just not enough testing done on it. Like, I don't want to put something that I don't know the long-term effects on
No,
into
exactly.
my body. So I think that this is absolutely amazing, especially because these are people that serve our country and protect us.
Right.
So.
And, to go off of your point, I think it's important, too, that, obviously most people probably didn't need the shot.
Right.
The problem is, if you weren't convicted enough or you didn't have, the ability to withstand the pressure, which a lot of people got pinched by their job and had to leave your job. You can't graduate. You can't walk at graduation.
Yeah.
They get forced into doing this, quite literally forced. I mean, like, what else are you going to call it? Like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly.
we're suggesting that you get the COVID shot or you
No.
can't go to work or you're going to be fired because you can't go to work or you can't graduate, you can't walk with your class. Like, that is forcing someone to do
Yeah.
something,
Exactly.
And so I don't know. I just think this is a great first step. I'm hesitant too with Trump and COVID because it was his
That
baby.
is very true.
Yeah.
That is
you
very
know,
true.
and so like, I think a lot of us feel the same way. Like, I was pissed when Fauci got pardoned. Like, the guy should at minimum, he needs to answer
Well,
for
if he
his
didn't do
perjury.
if he didn't do it, he should deny the pardon.
No, right, of course.
If he's so sure.
No,
Right.
no. It's just that one riles me up. So, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is great. It's just
for sure.
Yeah.
So, and then another, still on the military wins.
Okay.
Trump declared, quotes, to ensure that we have the most lethal fighting force in the world, we will get rid of transgender ideology. We will get transgender ideology the hell out of our military.
Awesome. Nice quote.
So, just a classic Trump quote.
Yeah.
But as part of this, he's discharging trans-identifying service members for not meeting physical and mental fitness requirements.
Wonderful.
And also banning the use of fake pronouns.
Okay.
And then banning service members from using bathrooms, locker rooms, and bedrooms different than their biological sex.
Duh.
Which
Yeah.
I can't believe that is
in a
just
freaking
now
military
happening.
barrack, man.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
I actually had no idea that, like, I don't know how many transgender people were in the military prior to this, but that's nuts to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
mean,
get
we
it.
had the health secretary was what, a general?
Biden's
health-
Richard Levine, Rachel
Yeah.
Levine. Yeah, that was like a general or high-ranking lieutenant or something.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, he was self-claiming himself to be transgender. A woman
Lovely.
named Rachel. And his name was Richard for like 60 years of his life.
Richard for Dick.
Yeah. Dick Levine. Yeah. Yeah, well, this is good. This is good. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Where was the controversy here?
No, literally.
Do you think the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians
They were laughing
have
at
trans
us.
people in their
No,
military?
definitely
They're
laughing at
totally
us.
laughing. Like, even just probably seeing these bands, they're like, you had to ban that?
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Like-
right. It's like, you ever see those military parades in Shanghai?
Yeah.
And they got like all the guys like it's like are we ready for this?
Yeah, right.
You know, like, if we, not that we want it, because we absolutely don't want it, but if we had to, are we ready for that? Are you, they, them, are you ready for that? Like, did you see the video of that Chinese soldier jumping in the air,
Yeah.
grabbing the guy in the scissor kick, chucking him to the ground like total Jackie Chan? I was like, oh, we're cooked.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, we gotta,
We're
you know,
over
let's,
here crying.
do we need more
over
John
pronouns.
Rambos
Right.
and less, Jill Rambos? You know, we need fighters. We need warriors. We don't need trans, confused folks in the military. So, yeah, that's the take.
And then moving on to DEI, still in the military.
Okay.
But we are also banning DEI programs in the military and reviewing all discrimination that resulted from past DEI initiatives. So kind of a vague statement.
Yeah.
But I think just to say we're done with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're not going to be recruited because you're transgender.
Right. Specifically.
Or because you're black or you're female.
Yeah.
You're going to be recruited because you want to fight for your country.
Yeah. And you're good at it.
Exactly.
You're the most qualified for it.
Right.
It's not because of your skin color or your gender or if you're LGBT, whatever. It's because you are the most qualified.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. So we can talk about some of the Trump tax cuts. So I think we have to revisit in Congress
Yes.
his bill. It's gonna come due.
Yeah.
And so they're going to either need to renegotiate that, because Biden kept it in place.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're going to either need to look at the Paul Ryan or the Donald Trump 2017 tax cuts. The plan is to make them permanent.
Yeah. Awesome.
But I do think it has to go through Congress.
Yes, it does.
But that saves middle class families quite a bit. And then he's looking to implement his no tax on tips.
Let's go.
Yeah, which is nice. And then no tax on overtime. Which is also nice. And no tax on senior Social Security benefits, So, this is all good stuff. This is all just kind of throwing, the bone to the dog kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
but they're all things, once again, he told us he was going to do, and now he's, pushing for them to happen.
I still think it's awesome that we had that presentation for our meeting that was from last semester, and Anna's like, who did the slides? And we're like, nobody did.
Yeah, I know. I can't get over that.
And then one final thing, he's looking to cut taxes from domestically made products, so American made.
That's smart.
Right, and so incentivizing.
He's really doing a good job of incentivizing American made.
Well, right, and that's where everybody likes to debate about the tariffs. If you can effectively incentivize domestic manufacturing while imposing a tariff on foreign imports, it's a recipe for reshoring.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And so I don't know. I like it. I've always liked it. And so that's my feeling on that. And so with all these things being said, the no tax, all these different things, promises made, promises kept, who's benefiting from this?
I think us.
Yeah. Who's us?
Us as in middle class,
right?
Just regular U.S. citizens who aren't billionaires,
right?
Right.
And I think that's not the narrative we're given. Everyone's like, just the billionaires are going to benefit, but the billionaires aren't the ones working as servers,
right?
60 hours a week,
right?
So, yeah, I'm just looking because. Obviously, I'm in college. I'm a freshman.
Right.
Broke college student. So I feel like anything at this point to help the middle class and, people who are, they have money, but they have to put it towards other things.
They have less discretionary income. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Right. Or disposable income. So that's the thing is, middle class is kind of our parents.
Yep.
Working class
yeah,
is really who I think this is targeting, the tips, the OT,
yeah, that's true.
The seniors who aren't necessarily working class but are fixed income. This is total bone to the dog kind of thing. These people helped get him elected. And this is the interesting thing with the working class is for 50 plus, 60 plus years, the working class was a reliable Democrat vote. That is the tension. We're seeing it happen right now they call it the Blue Wall or the Rust Belt, which is Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, these swing states in the Rust Belt where there used to be this working class manufacturing base, cars, tire, rubber, steel. We were producing products here. They get shipped out through NAFTA and through, different trade agreements. We lose these jobs, hollows out the Midwest, and then you're starting to see that the people who are pro free trade, You know, the Democrats for the longest time are very pro free trade.
Yeah.
They took these people's votes, got
Yeah.
elected, and then sent their jobs overseas. And now these people don't have money to feed their families. And so that's why we're seeing this shift in the Midwest where, you know, Joe at his car manufacturing plant or, you know, Tim at his, you know, window repair shop,
Yeah.
you know, he wants security of his jobs. He wants to be able to employ people and grow his business and have, you know, low regulation on what he does and make it easier for people to buy his product rather than buy some piece of shit
China.
from
Yeah.
Zhangjiang. And that's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think these people over time have really shifted into Trump camp where they recognize, and that's the just mind blower of Trump, in my opinion. I mean, the guy wears a suit
Yeah.
and a tie to middle America,
Yeah.
you know, and it doesn't feel politician.
No.
There's something amazing about it that, like, when Barack Obama, you know, pulls up, and like, for as much as I like him, like when DeSantis, you know, he goes on the trail and he puts on those muck boots and, like, you know, I mean, the spotlight's on him, but with Trump, he can go to McDonald's in a suit and tie, buy everybody McDonald's, and everybody just loves him.
Yeah.
You know, all these people who are
Yeah.
working class and wouldn't you know what $1 billion is if it was sitting in front of them the way that Trump
Right.
does. You know, those kind of people are traditionally hated by the working class in middle America. But for some reason, Trump just has this aura, and he just
Well, he
juices it
gives-
from the people, and they
He's
love him.
always been good at giving back to those people.
Yeah.
Like even before his politician years,
Mhm.
he was the type of person. I remember just seeing a clip recently during 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
He had a bunch of his construction workers helping at the
Mm-hmm.
scene, and a bunch of news media stopped him, and he was like, "No, I'm going to check on my people. I'm going to see if they need food, or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm going to go check on them, and then we're going to get more people down here, and we're going to keep working."
Yeah.
And they kept like, you know, pressing him question. He's like, "No, I have to go see my people."
Yeah.
And I think that's not something you see in your typical billionaire politician.
Well, and even pre-politics, there's all these stories about Trump, like running into a gardener at Mar-a-Lago. I think
Yeah.
is the story. Or it's like a gardener, or some guy, janitor or something. He runs into this guy multiple times, and then like the third or fourth time, he like breaks his wallet out and just starts thumbing Benjamins at him, and he just hands it to him, and he keeps him employed and he treats him really well. But he's always been known as a very good tipper, and I think there's just something authentic about him. Far more so than any politician could ever try. I mean, it's natural.
Yeah.
It comes.
No,
it's
that's
baked
so
into
true.
Trump the way that you could never train someone to be that likable.
And I think
know?
you hit it when you said it's authentic.
Yeah.
It's not him doing it for the cameras.
Right. No. Right. Yeah. I mean, and so I think one more thing to touch on before we depart here for this episode is DOGE and the DOGE cuts. I'm going to give my father a shout out again. He loves DOGE, so shout out, Dad. But so I have an article here from Newsweek, published February 6, 2025 at 3 p.m. Quote, DOGE has focused on several departments, particularly those deemed redundant, like the Department of Education and the U.S. Agency for International Development, or otherwise known as the USAID. By making substantial cuts to these departments or getting rid of them altogether, Trump and Elon Musk said that they hope to get rid of inefficiencies and redirect these funds back to the federal government for more effective use, end quote. So DOGE is primarily focused on cutting these DEI programs, like we talked about, these
Yep.
non-merit-based, superficial qualification. It's government bloat. It's just
Yeah.
doing too much. And a government bloat with the Department of Education. I mean, listen, the Department of Education is banded by the Trump administration is a shitty headline. I mean,
Yeah.
it just makes people be like, oh, he hates education. He doesn't want kids to learn. But what people don't realize is there is just
There's nothing
mass
being done.
mass inefficiency. We
Yeah.
just flood public school systems across the country with tax dollars that we don't know if it's being put to good use. And I'm not necessarily opposed with some sort of federal oversight for public, schooling if they want to. But at this point, it's hundreds of millions of dollars just being wasted year over
Exactly.
year. And this is not a new thing. Republicans have been promising to do this. Bush, I mean, I would have to remember if Reagan did or didn't, or when the Department of Education was even formed. But I just know Bush for sure, Romney for sure, Trump, all of the guys who ran against Trump in 2016.
Yeah.
Everybody's been wanting to do this for a long time, and so Trump actually, getting it done is looks really good to me. So they're primarily cutting DEI programs. So additionally, DOGE canceled 36 contracts, reportedly saving $165 million
Dang.
just by getting rid of these federal contracts, and then 22 leases saving $44.6 million.
Wow.
It also removed 85 DEI-related contracts worth $1 billion. But another piece, on January 28th, DOGE announced that it has saved the U.S. government $1 billion per day.
Oh
my
my gosh.
Per day.
I was going to say that's a lot on its own, but
$1 billion
Right.
per day. These savings are attributed to
Wow.
halting unnecessary hiring, eliminating DEI programs, preventing improper payments to foreign organizations, in alignment with the president's executive orders.
Oh my
And DOGE
gosh.
aims to increase the savings to $3 billion per day.
That's
Wow.
crazy. I mean, it's nice to see that we're not just like throwing money at the government and it's just going wherever anymore. They're like,
Yeah.
no, hold on.
Yeah.
We're gonna make sure your money's being put to use.
I mean, like, come on, it's got to be close. Like, we got to just, I mean, where is this money going? Like,
Right.
obviously nowhere. It's just, you pay all these government employees to, like, sit at home.
Well,
It's like,
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
I just sit here at college and we all worry about what we're going to get. It's just like, dang,
Maybe-
to be
yeah.
like 15 years, born 15 years earlier, and just get some like BS job in the government,
Right.
sit around,
Right.
do nothing, get paid like 120 grand a year
No, right.
to like approve or deny applications
Right.
Get
Well,
and work
six
3 days a week
figures.
and
yeah.
then only ever work from home. It's like,
Give that to our nurses.
Yeah.
I mean-
Shout out to all the healthcare workers.
Oh,
Yeah,
seriously.
For real.
I don't know.
Speaking of young college government workers, did you see Elon also hired those 4 or 6
Yeah.
or
No,
computer science
really?
guys? Yeah, they're like our age, like anywhere
Oh,
from
good.
19 to 24.
Good. We need more of
And
that.
They're working on like AI and just
Yeah.
web development and all that type of stuff within the government now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing a good job because they know the now,
Yeah.
and they're up and coming, and
Right.
it's just really cool. And it's everyone's like shocked and like almost upset with him for it, and I'm like, this is genius.
Yeah, we'll have to talk. We'll have to do a podcast on AI because there's been some very interesting developments.
yeah.
Have you seen?
Yeah.
Did you hear about DeepSeek?
No.
No.
Okay, so this is without. We'll leave with this. Maybe we'll do AI for our next episode.
Yeah, that'd be a great
So
episode.
we'll leave with this. So as a teaser, China just developed and launched something called DeepSeek AI.
Okay.
So DeepSeek AI was manufactured and created at a far lower cost than OpenAI's ChatGPT.
Oh.
It was made lower cost with less energy because you need like energy to run these
Yeah.
giant computers or
Yeah.
whatever. And it was made with less people in a shorter amount of time and tests better.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's free. Where ChatGPT is not. If you want the top levels,
Yeah.
you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But with China's DeepSeek, you don't have to pay for it. Now, granted, it has this censorship stuff. If you ask it what happened in Tiananmen Square, it says, let's stay on topic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but the same way that if you ask ChatGPT some certain things, it'll say the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that's the teaser is Trump gave billions of dollars to Sam Altman, OpenAI, in incentive, contract subsidies
Yeah.
to work on AI because
Yeah.
this is the battle of the future. Is which country will be able to unlock the supreme ability of AI tech will essentially be able to control the future and control the direction that the world moves in. And I think it's terrible, all of it in and of itself. We should
Yeah.
not be taking God out of man.
I agree with you.
and relying more on God than we do on this computer creation.
I'm very different. I love AI.
However, if it's inevitable, I would much rather have us be at the forefront of
Yeah.
it,
No,
then-
absolutely.
somebody else with different interests and that may, not align with ours. And so I think it's an interesting topic. I'm glad you have a dissenting opinion.
Yeah,
we'll have a
this will
good
make
conversation next week. So I wanted to hang with that. Before we depart, any closing thoughts?
I'm all good.
You're
This
good?
was fun.
Cool.
Yeah, we're glad you came on. This was
Yeah,
this
thanks
was a
for
very
having
good
me, guys.
conversation. It's
Yeah.
a nice little, I think, catch up on all the many things Trump's been doing. I
Yeah.
think it's easy to
Yes.
get overwhelmed right now on like what the
Mhm.
heck is happening.
Yeah.
But we'll try and keep you updated to the best of our ability. But
Yeah, absolutely.
if you're not keeping up with every single thing he's doing, you can't defend every single thing he's doing. Don't feel bad.
Yeah,
That's
dude, it's
okay.
moving at breakneck
Like-
pace right now.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
And, like-
so many things happening.
Like just let the liberals spiral.
Yeah.
Just let him spiral.
Yeah.
Don't if they start questioning you, just be like, I trust him.
Also,
Move on.
it's also okay to disagree.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
it is
that is-
just because you voted for Trump does not mean that you need to defend everything he does.
No, that is
You know?
such a good point. Like, and just because he does something you disagree with doesn't mean you shouldn't have voted for him either.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like,
right.
And I
right.
think there's this balance of he's human. Let's treat him like a human.
Right.
We're not going to agree with everything. I haven't. You know.
yeah, and I don't. Yeah.
And and I never will agree with a
Right.
candidate completely, but I'm happy with the overall trajectory that he's done.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for the
What's to
continuation
come.
of
Yeah,
the next,
right. Yeah, I'm with
years.
you. Got to keep eyes on the first 100 days of this administration because right now it feels like we're in year 3 and we're in like week 4
I know. I
or
feel like
5.
when you said first 100 days,
I
I
don't
was like,
even
haven't
think-
we passed that? But no, we
No,
haven't.
absolutely
We're
not.
even close.
Hasn't
Yeah.
it even been a month yet?
yeah, has it even been 4 weeks
I don't
No.
even
at this
know.
point? No.
I don't
No,
think
not
so.
even close.
How-
It's February.
it's
it's
February
February
9th.
9th. He was inaugurated, what, the 25th? 21st?
20th.
20th.
Yeah. No. So we still got it.
Excited to
2
watch.
weeks.
Yeah, excited to watch Trump at the Super Bowl tonight.
It's been
So-
3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's been
That's crazy.
It feels like it's been like a year.
It does.
That's wild.
It feels like it's been a long time. He's moving fast. Anyway, we also wanted to make a brief apology for missing last Friday. This was the first Friday that we've missed in 16 episodes, but I think as a lot of the students can attest to, we are living in the plague times right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
People are sick left and right. We have a lot going on. From norovirus to lung flu to pneumonia to everything. It's important to remember to wash your hands because a few of us have been taken out, and so we appreciate everybody's patience with the podcast for those who listen. So when you're listening to this will probably be out on Friday the 14th. And
Happy Valentine's Day.
so yeah, happy
Yeah, happy
Valentine's Day to everybody
Valentine's
who's listening
Day.
to this. Come to our meeting on Monday night. So with that being said, thank you for listening to Right on Campus. We post this podcast weekly where we tackle current events and life as a conservative on campus. If you'd like to learn more about the UWEC College Republicans, join our meetings on Monday nights in Centennial 1704 at 7 p.m. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at UWEC College Republicans, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Or favorite and share this podcast if you're listening on Spotify. Have a great night. Thank you for listening to Right on Campus. We post this podcast once a week where we talk about current events and life as a conservative on campus. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at UWEC College Republicans. Have a great night and see you next time.